So just this last week, we talked about how 343 was rebranding to Halo Studios, and we saw a big red flag of DEI with Boone, who's the chief of staff with Halo. Well, an interesting story has made its rounds, and I'm looking at this from levelup.com, who says that the former 343 Creative recommends developers to stay away from Halo Studios, slamming the executives and claiming they are a cancer. So I saw this making the rounds and I was like, wow, we got to talk about this. So there was also a tweet that some of my colleagues and associates were tagged in. And you can see it was from Doombot, who said Will Waltz, former animator for Halo 4 and Infinite, says 343 Industries, now Halo Studios leadership's cancer and limits creativity. Uh, this doesn't surprise me at all, considering all the nonsense that we've seen happening with the Halo series in recent times. I mean, all the woke pandering that we've been seeing with Pride Cosmetics, and now we've seen all the troubles in red flags that were in that whole behind the scenes video of Halo Studios with Boone as the chief of staff. So I'm not surprised one fucking bit. So we're going to talk about this right here. So going on, you can see it says Halo is being talked about everywhere after 343 Industries transitioned to Halo Studios, a restructured team responsible for the future of the popular Microsoft and Xbox franchise. Some fans are optimistic about this change, especially due to adjustments in the studio's direction. However, there's also members of the industry who are pessimistic about the company's new stage as they believe nothing will change. One of them is Will Waltz, who worked as an animator on several Halo titles and was part of 343 Industries for over a decade. So this is a guy that was employed for over a decade. We even heard a former composer at 343 who worked on Halo games basically trashed the company. So these aren't just some fly-by-night random interns or random people that work there for like a cup of coffee. These are guys who were dick deep in Halo. So going on, it says the creative made a post on his LinkedIn profile that caught the attention of players as he harshly criticizes 343 Industries and executives. He also recommends developers stay away from Halo Studios as he believes things will not improve. So this is big. This is big right here. We're going to take a look at what he said right here, which, I mean, it seems like a lot of industry professionals are just going mask off and calling out this bullshit. So let's make it fit. You can see it's a lot of words here. And I can relate. If you work for a company for like over a decade, you feel passionate about it. You feel some type of way about things that aren't changing and making something that you care about even worse. And Halo is no slouch. Like this is like the franchise for Microsoft. And for somebody that's been there for over a decade formerly and worked on two of your biggest games, they're, when they speak up, you got to take note, especially when they just did all this rebranding and restructuring. Anyways, it says they worked at Bungie as part of the development team for Halo Reach, and he later joined 343 Industries and collaborated on the creation of Halo 4 and Halo Infinite. So he's familiar with the saga and what has happened to it in recent years, and they expressed little excitement about the birth of Halo Studios. So, yeah, definitely calling the company a cancer is fucking like next level. So he says, I worked for them as a top performing industry animator for 13 years. I do not recommend working for 343 Industries. He right off the bat, don't recommend. It's like Comcast calling themselves Xfinity and hoping nobody notices. Steer clear and stay out. Stay safe out there. They are not worth it. Feel free to PM. So he's even saying, hey, hit me up in the private messages if you really want me to go deep like in this. So this guy's pulling no punches. He says, to be clear, employees have been some of the industry's finest because we all have fond memories of Halo and the Microsoft pay is nice, but their leadership is cancer. Pierre especially. And you'll hate how creatively limited they are. So he fucking said a name. He said Pierre. He said, I don't give two shits about Pierre. This guy taking this whole studio down. So going on, he ends it saying, I have no doubt that even though the execs finally gave in to switch into Unreal, they'll find a way to organizationally make it unfun to work there. Wow. So sounds like somebody is not a happy camper with 343, which is, again, when you have industry like people that have been there for decades, years, and they're speaking up about changes that companies are making, that's when you should take note. I know a lot of these wokies are like, well, it's time to be progressive. And all these straight white men that were working there for years are so intimidated by people of color and LGBTQ people coming in and having a seat at the table. Now, that's what they turn it into. These companies don't hire for the best qualified people anymore. They hire to make DEI checklist complete. They do DEI hires. If they're hiring somebody that's a person of color, it's specifically because of that. Or if they're hiring somebody because it's LGBTQ, specifically because of that. Instead of just hiring people because they're qualified, whether they're white, gay, black, whatever, right? Companies like Halo Studios, they're clearly looking to get virtue signaling points. With when you see the chief of staff literally be a wokey, that's a major red flag. So this guy's calling it out. All right. and that's right. I mean, it definitely, especially the leadership and Pierre. I'm not too familiar with who Pierre is and what he does, but leadership is what's up the top that makes the things about what direction and vision they're going and stuff like that. So you can see he said, we know that Halo has suffered from poor management, which led 343 Industries into a crisis. Because of this, Microsoft and Xbox decided to make significant adjustments, but it's still unclear whether it will return to its former glory. And I don't think it will. To be completely honest, I think it's too far gone. I'm always hearing bad things about Halo. I tried Halo Infinite. I wasn't entertained at all. It felt empty. It felt like just not fun. And I've always heard great things about like Halo Reach, Halo 3, even Halo Combat Evolved. And it seems like they've lost their way like many other companies have. Ubisoft, to name one. Like, think of all the great franchises that Ubisoft has had: Assassin's Creed, Beyond Good and Evil. Yeah, and they seem more focused on DEI hires too and appealing to this modern audience instead of actually making great games. And now Halo Studios, on paper, it looks like, oh, we're restructuring and we're doing Unreal Engine for our games and stuff. But this guy who worked there for 13 years is saying, don't let him fool you. They made some changes, but it's going to be the same cancer and leadership at top, especially Pierre, which I need to look into this Pierre guy. Anybody got juice in Pierre, like as far as like why he would be somebody specifically named in this former creatives, I guess, post about it? I don't know. Anyways, I think taking note about it, somebody that worked there for 13 years saying it's not worth it, stay away, it's cancer, is definitely a thing that you need to take into consideration. So, we'll see what happens here, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Subscribe if you're brand new. I'd love for you guys to join the AB Nation, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching.